One thing that I find very difficult to understand, I don't know if I'll ever understand it, is how anybody can analyze something in a vacuum. For example, you want to analyze politics, latest developments, but you hate history, and you're not interested in human psychology, and you're certainly not interested in the true character of the politician you're talking about. One thing that will happen if you approach it like this is that what you end up with will not be any kind of analysis. You can't use that English word to describe it, because it is simply he said, the other person said, he responded, etc., etc. Now, please allow me to emphasize this point because it is very important. Before we get into the Mutahi Ngunyi, Itumbi drama. And this next example is going to shock and scare many of you. Yeah, but my intention is that tukae sote rada. In my view, what is currently happening in South Africa, I believe unprecedented, should be a wake-up call for Kenyans. Kenyans need to wake up and pay close attention. Why? For starters, what is happening down south is not happening in a vacuum. That is not how this life works. No. Now, we are told that the sporadic looting and violence has been caused by the incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. Actually, the truth is, it has been triggered by that event. That event triggered the start of the trouble, the unrest. So it is not the cause, it is the trigger. Bottom line, something else was going on in the minds and brains of South Africans. They were under other pressures, other problems, and they just needed something small to trigger it. Now, it is also true that a mischievous person who reads the mood of the public can easily go out of their way and further trigger trouble for their own political objectives. That is true. But my point is, you don't want a situation, you don't want an environment where something or somebody can come and trigger things and cause chaos. Now, the reason why any Kenyan of goodwill needs to be concerned is because currently Kenyans are very stressed. Indeed, more stressed than we have ever been as a country in our history. Serious money troubles triggered by the pandemic. We're up to our ears in loans, and yet we continue to borrow because we must borrow to survive. And the consequences of these financial strains, because when the government does not have money, the first people to be affected are the ordinary wananchi. And then we can't keep our children in school because of these financial constraints, personal financial constraints. And yet, most of the year 2020, they didn't go to school. And then the worries. Kenyans are worried about the pandemic. Kenyans are worried about 2022, the general elections. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Bottom line, serious stress. The perfect environment for somebody to trigger something. Although South Africa is very far away from Kenya, what is happening there is a very loud wake-up call for all of us. Now, coming back to our purposes today, that is a perfect example of how you can analyze something in a vacuum and miss the big points. Because in the minds of many, South Africa is a Zuma Manenos. And anyway, South Africans are crazy. End of story. Oh, you've missed it big time. Now, in the early hours of Wednesday morning, a sudden fire gutted the palatial home of YouTuber and controversial Kenyan political analyst Mutahi Ngunyi. Yeah, the home is in the leafy Runda area. At the time of the fire, there were 3 people in the house: Bwana Ngunyi, his wife, and the housekeeper, and they all escaped unhurt. Those are the unfortunate facts, and the rest is all politics. And it started with the person who broke the story, not the media house, the person, the individual who broke the story. Because that individual was former State House Communications Director Dennis Itumbi, who is now firmly a DP Ruto man. And there was a heated exchange on Twitter. And what seems to upset most people is how quickly Bwana Itumbi got to know that Bwana Ngunyi's house was on fire. Yeah, about 16 minutes after the fire started. Now that is fast. Now, to most people, that is very suspicious. But then the real bombshell came from Mutahi Ngunyi himself, who said that his house is now on fire shortly after he discussed on his channel the very unfortunate Kiambaa incident of 2008. Remember, during the clashes, when some very innocent Kenyans, women and children, lost their lives in a church, when it was set on fire, deliberately. By the way, Kiambaa, deep in the Rift Valley. Not the Kiambaa that is going to the polls in a by-election today. You know, our Kikuyu brethren have a knack for naming places far away from Central Province, with the names that come from Central Province. And now it should hit us yet again, how impossible it is to analyze something in a vacuum. Because the truth is, this controversial statement from Mutahi Ngunyi could easily influence the polls today. We don't know for sure, but somebody could easily argue that maybe his original post on YouTube, on his channel, referring to the Kiambaa incident, when Kiambaa in Central Province is very close to going to a by-election, did not get enough traction. And therefore, he took the opportunity from this very unfortunate incident in his own house to attract as much attention as possible, further attention, on this particular video and post, hence influencing people going to vote. Maybe somebody has a relative who was touched in some way by that unfortunate Kiambaa incident of 2008. And they are going to the polls. And we humans are all about emotions. And they break down and they say, "Hey, what was I about to do? No, I will not vote for that other side. I will vote for Mutahi Ngunyi's side." You know, somebody who understands politics can be a very dangerous person. They can be mischievous. That is why, in my view, people who analyze politics, the first qualification must be integrity. That is what my late political lecturer taught me. He once said, how do you analyze politics if you don't love your country? How do you analyze politics if you don't have integrity? Now, I know many on this channel post comments based on emotions, not cold analysis. And so I have to make it very clear. I am not supporting Dennis Itumbi, and I am not supporting Mutahi Ngunyi. I am just analyzing what happened, and I'm being very careful to avoid doing so in a vacuum, because we will learn nothing. We will understand zero. We'll come out of this analysis even more confused if we analyze it in a vacuum. And in any case, both individuals have given us reasons in the past to doubt them. Bwana Ngunyi, who is in fact Professor Mutahi Ngunyi, is most famous for giving us the theory of the tyranny of numbers, a theory which was rubbished by the ruling of the Supreme Court of Kenya on 1st September 2017. Bwana Dennis Itumbi is famous for being the leader of the notorious 36 bloggers, propaganda peddlers, which can cause somebody to quickly conclude that all these are just political games. However, my concern is that they are political games being played over what is a misfortune. Somebody's house got burnt down. That is serious. It should not be political. We should all be sympathizing with Bwana Mutahi Ngunyi. When something bad happens to somebody, even if he's your worst enemy, you need to sympathize. Your heart needs to go out to them, because that is the way human beings with human hearts are supposed to respond. You will have plenty of time, after that person recovers, to continue with your war. And I've said this before on this channel. I have a golden rule. I never kick anybody when they're down. No. That can never be the right thing to do. In my view, Bwana Itumbi made a mistake when he broke this story. He should have just kept quiet, because he provoked the whole political game, if we can call it that, and gave the Professor Mutahi Ngunyi an opportunity to bring in politics into a very unfortunate personal disaster. Although if such a disaster happened to me, even if I suspected it was caused by my political enemies, I would never bring politics into it. But that's just me. I know people think differently. People act differently. People have different objectives in life. I appreciate most people are not interested in doing anything that will stand the test of time. I am very aware that most of us are interested in the now and here, and the advantages and the edge we can get from the now and here. Tomorrow, itajisort. I know for a fact that is the view of most people. But still, I am grateful I was not brought up like that. I take this opportunity to wish the professor and YouTuber Mutahi Ngunyi all the best and a quick recovery from this personal disaster. And I also pray that the police and investigators will get to the bottom of the real cause of this fire, which could be accidental. I'm not saying it is, but it could easily be accidental. We're in the cold season in this part of the world. People like fires in the house to keep warm in the fireplace. And maybe accidents happen sometimes. Electrical failures happen also during this cold season. Somebody forgets to put off a heater when they go to bed. And maybe there's a problem somewhere in the wiring and it gets very hot and a fire starts. That happens. That is true. But then we're also in the season of political sabotage. I believe you've watched my recent videos. But having said all that, what we need here are the facts, and the facts alone. And of course, facts are always backed by solid evidence, solid, irrefutable evidence, preferably several pieces of evidence, not just one thing. Now, before I go, some quick good news. The offer that has been on this channel has been extended for only 2 days. And you can get more details from this recording I made earlier. Listen in. And when you do, just bear in mind, the deadline has been extended by only 2 days, 48 hours. Many times on this channel, I have described the upcoming 2022 general elections in Kenya with a Swahili very popular Kenyan expression as follows: Kimeumana kuumana. Oh yes. And maybe many on this channel have not been able to fully understand what I'm really driving at. What is the worst that can happen? What can really happen? What is this that kimeumana? Kuumana? Really? What is it? I know many of you are asking. In my latest weekly intelligence briefings number 60, I cover one of these areas that is really scary about our upcoming elections. And it is a trend that we have seen very clearly from the last 2 elections, the last 2 general elections. Of course, I'm talking about 2013 and 2017. It is a trend that is deadly, to say the least. Before the 2013 general elections, we had the death from a helicopter crash of the late Professor George Saitoti, who, by the way, had already announced that he was vying for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. But was it really an ordinary helicopter crash? There is a lot of information in the public domain that suggests it was not. And I covered this in great detail in weekly intelligence briefings number 60. Now let me give you another quick example. In the run-up to the 2017 general elections, indeed very close to those elections, about a month before those elections, the CS internal at the time, a man called Joseph Nkaiseri, suddenly passed on from what we were told was a heart attack. A sudden heart attack just before the general elections. And then we had the still unsolved mystery of the gruesome murder of IEBC computer guru, the late Kshs. In my view, the stakes were very high in 2013. They were higher in the 2017 elections. And they're highest, a lot higher, in the 2022 upcoming general elections. Now, There are details which unfortunately I cannot share on this public channel that are included in my WAB number 60 that will just blow your mind. No kidding, no exaggerating. And on this channel, it is our tradition to analyze our politics in our beloved country a lot more deeply than many others do. I'm not saying we're the best. I'm not bragging. But we make an effort to analyze politics very deeply. And therefore, the analysis of this highly sensitive area, must be done. Otherwise, we will be cheating our subscribers and indeed our fans and followers if we somehow leave it out conveniently from our deep analysis, because it is all part of the upcoming Kimeumana Kuumana 2022 general elections. Now, times are hard. There's no doubt about that. And many of you, my beloved fans and followers of this channel, may many times feel that you're being left out because of the relatively high cost of being a weekly intelligence briefings subscriber. But I have great news for you today. For the next 4 days, from the day this video was published, you will be able to become a temporary subscriber for the weekly intelligence briefings for 2 whole months for only 9.95 Kenya shillings or $9.95. This has been the special offer for a monthly subscription, but now you can get 2 months. And even for those who your subscription has expired, you can now extend it for 2 whole months for only $9.95 or Kenya shillings 9.95 only. Go for it. I'm afraid you only have 4 days. In my opinion, the current special offer for a whole year and even for lifetime subscription, you never need to pay again, is also very reasonable, very low. So please take advantage. This offer will not remain forever. Indeed, it is going to end very soon, if I can give you a heads up. Those who normally pray for a lovely, beloved motherland, I urge you to step up your prayers concerning our next general elections. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.